I'm Larry Berkelhammer. I have with me a guest, Dr. Erik Peper, professor at San Francisco State University and former president of the Association for Applied Psychophysiology and Biofeedback. He is the current president of the Biofeedback Federation of Europe, and he has a practice here in Berkeley, California, that treats all manner of issues with biofeedback and applied psychophysiology. Welcome, Erik.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I have taken workshops with you over the years at conferences, and I've heard you say some fascinating things that I wrote down. This is an opportunity for me to ask you to explain this a little more. One of the things you said that fascinated me is the limits of our experience and potential are the limits of our beliefs. Could you say a little more about that?
Well, to really be honest about that, I probably stole it or paraphrased that from John Lilly many years ago. However, it really is what is the basis of it. If you can imagine something, then it has the possibility of occurring. If you do not imagine it, you'll never go there.
Right.
And this definitely is true in our brain. So often we have self-limiting statements. I cannot do this. I cannot study math. I'm done.
And if I say I can't study math, that will it's more likely to become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It totally is, because I don't even give my experience of struggle with it. And I see every time I'm not doing well as a failure, which confirms to me that I can't do it.
Right.
If on the other hand I say, well, I am just learning how to do this, I haven't yet taken the time to master it, then failure, quote, is just feedback telling me I need to learn some different skills.
Right.
And it's clear to me, when you study clients, when you work with unusual people, that if they can have a sense of openness to the possibility, who knows what is possible? And to say that we know what's possible, wait a minute. We are not God.
We're not there yet. It hasn't happened, so how can we know? I actually have John Lilly's quote here. I'm going to read it. This is a beautiful quote. In the province of the mind, what you believe to be true is true, or will become true, within certain experiential and existential limits that remain to be transcendent.
Correct.
So
I have not 1 ounce of disagreement with it. When I've studied unusual people, whether it's Raymond Torres, Yogi Kawakami, or others, or more recently Sufis.
Kawakami is the person who sticks barbecue skewers through his neck, through his cheek, has no bleeding, no infection, and he's smiling while he's doing it.
Correct. Or recently with Sufis doing the similar process. Then all of a sudden you realize the automatic thing we think about when we cut ourselves, we should bleed, we should get an infection, it should take a long time to heal. Well, there's some questions. And to me, we want to have an openness to the possibilities.
Right. Another statement you made that I heard you say at one of the workshops, negative attributions lead to catabolism, which is a breaking down of the body. Healthy attributions lead to anabolism, which is a building up. You want to say a little more about that?
The simplest way to say it, when I think hopeless, helpless, threat-inducing thoughts, since my thought automatically will trigger my body in a similar response, therefore I would give a kind of alarm reaction. And an alarm reaction, really, we're going right back to saying we were just like 40,000 years ago. There's a threat out there. There's a saber-toothed tiger, even though it's the image of my boss. And then my body reacts to say, I need to cannibalize myself, to energize myself, to get myself to a place of safety, and only in that place of safety is it worthwhile healing.
So probably one of the most valuable things we could do is become aware of these thoughts that we have and be able to see that they are just thoughts. So that if I have negative attributions, which of course I will, to see that, oh, that's just a thought. I don't have to buy into that.
Yeah, good luck. You're totally right. And the key is that these are conditioned patterns. We don't even know a smell, a taste, a vision, an association triggers that thought sequence. As you said, step 1, to become aware of it.
Yep.
Step 2 is to really substitute a different way of thinking about it. Step 3 is to just accept I have those moments and I can move out of it. Step 4, which often works very well for people, if you're too caught up with those negative thoughts, complete the biological alarm reaction. Do some vigorous movement and exercise. Afterwards, you often are quieter, then it's easier to go back to your path.
Because that changes the mind.
Yes.
There are many ways to change the mind, and one of them is through physical exercise.
Correct.
There's another quote that I really like by a Dr. Martin Rossman. I actually trained with him in guided imagery. The human mind is the most underutilized and poorly utilized health resource available to us.
Well, I think the way I would look at that is saying we forget that our mind, our thoughts, our emotions become the template for what we have the potential for. We always are utilizing it either for good or bad. It depends where we want to put our focus. And I've learned this by observing Olympic athletes. And let me give an example. I'll never forget this sharpshooter. She was 4 times world champion. You know, once is chance, 4 times is consistency. And I remember asking her, you know, in competition or in practice, you sometimes miss. And she says, yes. And then she said, you know, and then I said, what do you do with that? And she said, the moment I miss, I ask myself, what was the problem? And then I see myself doing it perfectly. The target was too high, too low. And that's all I ever remember. So she's now rehearsing only positive, beneficial. It's not Pollyannish, but she's seeing where she has control and she has changed those sequences.
Right. Pollyanna-ish would be, oh, it's fine, it's going to be just fine, it's okay. Whereas what we're talking about is actually seeing that if I rehearse healthy images, images of how I want it to be,
correct,
that's more likely to become my destiny.
Yes, because every time and the images, it's more than saying I want to be happy. That's like getting the Olympic gold medal.
Right.
The question is, what specific tasks do I do? What behaviors do I do that I achieve? And if I focus my attention there.
On living that way.
Correct.
Yeah, right. Dr. Peper, thank you very much for joining me.
Well, it's a pleasure for
This was a fascinating discussion.
Thank you.